The first thing I'm going to be marking is my half length. Okay, so my half length is 16.5 inches. I'm going to place it this way. So this is my start point, which is also going to serve as my shoulder line. All right, the next thing I'm going to be marking is I'm going to be imputing my shoulder measurements, which is 7.5 inches here. Then on that same line, I'm going to mark 3 inches, which is going to be my neck width. Where my 7.5 inches stops, I'm going to mark 1 inch downwards for my shoulder slope. Then I'm going to connect it to my 3 inches, which is my neck width. This way. All right. So from here now, from this 1 inch downwards, I'll impute my shoulder measurements again, 7.5 inches, which is going to serve as my armhole. So from here to here is my armhole, and this area is going to serve as my chest line. So I have here to be my chest line. Then from here to here is going to be my armhole. All right. So placing my tape back this area, I'm going to divide it by 2, or you place your tape this way, half of it. All right. Then place your tape at that point you got, coming by 1/2 inch. Then using your rule, you connect from this shoulder slope to that point. We are trying to create our armhole curve. Then I'll be using my curved rule. This is to create my armhole curve. So this is what I have. All right. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to place my tape back at my start point, and I'm going to mark 10 inches. This is my bust line. Then 13 inches, which is my under bust measurements. Then I'm going to connect it. All right. So this is what I have. Then I'm going to label it. This is my shoulder. This is my chest line, my bust line, my under bust, and my hemline, H. All right. Then coming to the center points, from the center points of my folded paper, I'm going to mark 4 inches. This is my that line on my nipple to nipple. So I'm going to be marking it 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches. Then using a rule, I'm going to connect them. Okay, this is what I have. Then the next thing I'm going to do is, this is where I marked, this is where my dart line is. From there in, I'm going to mark 2 inches this way on my hemline or my waistline, and I'm also going to mark it as my under bust line. Okay, then I'm going to connect them together. 2 inches, remember. This is what I have. Then the next thing I'm going to do is, this is where my half of my armhole is. I'm going to connect it to my under bust, onto my bust line measurements. So from here, I'm connecting this to my bust line measurements. All right. Then I'm going to pick my curved rule, connect from my under bust, from my bust line to my under bust measurements. This is what I'm going to be having. All right. So as you can see, our Bustier is coming to shape. So this is what I have. Then I'm going to be working on this neck part of it now. From here, I'm going to mark, depending on how deep you want it to be. You can decide to mark 5 inches, 6 inches. It totally depends on you. So I'll be marking 5 inches. Then I'm going to connect it. All right. Then for this point, for this area now, I'm done. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to impute my measurements, actual body measurements. So my bust measurement is 8.5 inches. That's quarter of it. Okay. Then the waist is 7 inches, which is here. All right. Now we have removed 2 inches here. This is going off. I'm going to be adding it back to my pattern papers. I'm going to add it back, after which I'll add extra 2 inches. All right, my paper is not enough, it's meant to start from here. I'll add extra 2 inches. The extra 2 inches is my actual seam allowances. Then I'm going to connect them. This is what I will be having. Then I'll cut it off. So now you cut out your pattern paper. So cutting it now, this is how I'm going to cut it. I'll be cutting this. This is going off. Then from here, I'm going to place this is what I'm going to be having. All right, so this is how my princess that bustier is going to be looking like. Okay, this is what I'll be having. So I'm going to tape it down. Okay, so this is our bustier.